Now, up till now, we have discussed about the different monitoring systems, and from the monitoring systems, we have to take the corrective actions. So when we are talking about the NAC systems, ambient air quality systems, then we have to observe that the industrial pollutions, vehicular emissions are the main sources for the air pollutions. And that is why we have to control this air pollution. So there are different devices which can be used in the industries for controlling these air pollutions or air pollutants. We have already discussed various things in different videos under Air Pollution Act. And now I'm going to discuss the specific devices with their principles and working mechanism. So what are the air pollution control devices are? The first one is settling chamber. So from this diagram, you can observe that there is a chamber where the solid particles or the dirty particles can settle down with the help of gravity. That is why it is called as settling chamber. So from one end, the dirty gas can enter into this equipment where the filter bags are installed. So with the help of these filter bags, where these bags are specially designed for the separation of these solid and gaseous particles. So when these filter bags are checked by the motors or by the fans or some external agency, then these bags are separating the dirty solid particles, which are separated out with the help of these bottom conical flask designs with the help of gravity. So due to gravity, these heavier parts or the heavy solid particles can be separated out from the mixture of this solid gas. So this is the simple settling chamber assembly where you can easily understand that the solids are separated out from the dirty gases, and then remaining clean gas can be exits and it can be sent to the atmosphere. Then the second equipment is cyclone separator. So in this cyclone separator, this is a vertical, the upper part is cylindrical and the bottom part is conical one. So the design is in a such a way that the dirty gas or the mixture of gases and solids are sent to the cyclone separator from the top of the part, and with the help of inertia, with the help of the particular design of this inlet, we can use a centrifugal force parameter in this cyclone separator. Means this dirty gas are entered into this cyclone device in a such a way that the heavy particles are striked out to the walls of these cyclones, and due to the gravity again, these heavy particles are separated out in the dust hopper, and that can be collected as a dust exit. The remaining clean gas can be separated out from the upper part of this cyclone. So the centrifugal force, the inertia, and the specific design of this cyclone gives you the separation of these solid and gaseous particles. Then this is fabric filter, that is also called as bag house. So this is the combination of this filter as well as cyclone separator. Now you can observe from this diagram that this gas mixture or the dirty gas is going to enter into this fabric filter, and the design again here, there is a inlet part outlet part and a throat part, like a Venturi scrubber. So this is design indicates that in the throat, that is the center part, having gas velocity is more as compared to the inlet and outlet part, where the turbulence is more, because throat part is having a less diameter as compared to the inlet and outlet part. So as the diameter is less, the gas velocity is more and turbulence is more. As the velocity is more and turbulence is more, obviously the heavy particles are striked out on the wall of this throat, and then the heavy particles are separated out easily. Again, the remaining clean gas is separated out through the cyclone separator. So this is the fabric filter mechanism. Then this is another equipment, that is electrostatic precipitator. So in this electrostatic precipitator, the dry gas enters into this precipitator, and the name itself clearly mentions that electrostatic forces are used. So there is positive and negative electrodes are there, and with the help of these electrostatic forces, with the help of these electrostatic characteristics, we can separate out the positive and negative parts. So negative electrode connected to the electric power source, and it is negatively charged wires are connected to this precipitator, and due to this negative electrode, the positive or ionized field or other particles can be attracted to this part, and remaining clean gas can be separated out. So if one characteristic particles like positive charge particles or the solid particles can be attracted by this equipment, then the remaining is separated out. So on the basis of electrostatic forces, electrostatic charge, you can separate out these components in the air. Then this is another equipment, that is absorber or stripping column. So it is a absorption phenomena. So AB, that is absorption, and AD, that is adsorption. So absorption is a bulk phenomena. So in this equipment, in this column, large quantity of liquid and large quantity of gases can be handled. So that is called as absorber, bulk phenomena. Now in this case, simply the gas mixture is going to enter from the bottom side, because naturally as the gas is less denser than the liquid particles, that is why naturally the gas is flowing from bottom to top, and this liquid in, that is nothing but the solvents, and it is a particular solvent which is selected on the basis of the gas characteristics. So from this gas mixture, only the solute particles which is going to separate out, that should be designed in a such a way, and the solvent is selected in a such a way that only the solute part from this gas mixture is going to dissolve or soluble in this liquid component or in the solvent component. And on the basis of that, this solvent is selected and this solvent is sprayed from the top to the bottom. So with the help of liquid distributor, this liquid is going to distribute throughout the column. Then gas is passed from the bottom to top. And when this gas and liquid is contacted, so only solute part or the component or the air pollutant which is can be dissolved into that solvent is going to dissolve, and remaining clean gas is separated out. So the clean gas is separated out from the top portion, and the liquid out contains the solvent plus pollutant or the solute which is soluble. So in this way, a gas component which can be a pollutant and the clean gas can be separated out. So we can control the air pollutants or air pollution. Then this is another bed systems, likewise absorption systems. So we can also use a carbon bed to absorb the different pollutants. But now in this case, the principle is adsorption, AD. Now it is a surface phenomena. It is not a bulk phenomena like absorption. So it is a adsorption phenomena like a surface phenomena. If you want to clarify this adsorption phenomena, the simple example is duster and chalk. So if you want to rub the chalk powder from the blackboard, then normally we are going to use the duster. And if you cut the duster part, you can observe that only the surface of the duster can absorb the chalk powder. So only surface is involved to adsorb that particulates. So that is called as adsorption phenomena. In a similar way, these carbon particles, that may be an activated carbon or that may be a charcoal, which is used in this carbon bed. So all these carbon beds nowadays we are using in the different ATP systems, STP systems, RO systems, etc. So the carbon or the activated carbon or charcoal is having the characteristics that they are going to adsorb the different pollutants into its active sites. So whatever the pores are available on these carbons, these carbons or the activated sites are going to adsorb all these pollutants which are present in the gases. So they are going to adsorb all these pollutants and remaining clean gas can be separated out. So this may be the technique which is mentioned in the first diagram as well as in the second. Sometimes if it is a steam is utilized for the regeneration, because I have mentioned that carbon are having the active sites. So when these pollutants are adsorbed by these active sites on the carbon, then it becomes passive site. It means after a particular adsorption, they can't adsorb other pollutants or more pollutants. Then we have to regenerate that carbon. It means we have to remove that pollutants from the active sites and we have to use these active sites or the same carbon for the adsorption phenomenon. And that phenomena is called as regeneration. So for the regeneration, we can use the steam. So we can supply the steam and with the help of flow rate and the temperature, we can separate out these pollutants which is adsorbed by the active sites of that carbon. And if it is removed as a condensate, then again these carbons are ready to adsorb the pollutants. That is called as regenerated carbon or charcoal or activated carbon. This is the another diagram where you can understand the different phenomena like condensation can be utilized continuous basis, and some water sprinkling systems also can be utilized for the separate out of the gas pollutants. So gas inlet from the bottom side and the water inlet, that is nothing but the solvent, can be utilized as a solvent and that is sprayed from the top side. So if the gas pollutant which is soluble can be dissolved into the water, and some gas particles which are heavier as compared to other gas particles, that can also be settled down with the help of this water force or the gravity. So that is another example of this separation of these gas pollutants which can control the air pollution. Then on the second diagram, the shell and tube exchanger is shown, which is also used for the air pollution controlling technique, because in one of the side, that is called as shell side, On the shell side, gas inlet is there, and on shell outlet, condensate outlet is there. So there is another inlet, that is cooling media inlet and cooling media outlet. So two nozzles provided for cooling media in and out, and two nozzles provided for the gas in and gas out. And there is another nozzle for the condensate out. So this is the actually shell and tube heat exchanger assembly. That is nothing but a heat exchanger where number of tubes can be present in one shell, that is metallic shell, and there may be a partition, and with the help of this partition we can increase the velocity and turbulence of this cooling media as well as the gas inlets. So with the help of the heat exchange phenomena, we can condensate out the different pollutants which are present in the gas inlets, which are condensable. So if your gas mixture or the air is having the condensable pollutants, then with the help of this shell and tube heat exchanger or the heat exchanger, we can separate out these pollutants with the help of this condensation technique. So these are the different air pollution controlling devices. This is the last technique. If you can't control this air pollution with the help of previous devices, then there is a last option that is called as incineration. So incineration is nothing but a burning process, a combustion process. And the thermal incineration, it means it is purely a temperature increased combustion process. It means we have to supply the heat with the help of thermal incinerator provisions, and normally nowadays we are using two-step thermal incineration process. So from the diagram itself you can understand the emission sources are there, that is dilution air, then auxiliary air and auxiliary fuel are provided in the combustion chamber, and there is a provision of waste gas preheater, and then secondary engine recovery. And then after combustion, the flue gases which is generated are called as stack. And then we are going to provide this stack into the chimneys. So before chimneys or through the chimneys, we have to monitor these stack characteristics. So this is the simple phenomena, that is nothing but the burning or the combustion in the single stage or two stage with the help of combustion chamber. So we can utilize the waste heat which is generated or carried out by this stack or the flue gases, which can be utilized to heat the water, and this heated water can be utilized as a pre-feeder for the boiler or some other purpose. This is another incinerator that is called as catalytic incinerator. So this is the incinerator or the combustion process where we are using a catalyst. So we know what exactly the catalyst is. To increase the rate of a chemical reaction, we are using normally a catalyst. So there may be a positive catalyst and negative catalyst, but now in this case we are using the positive catalyst, means to increase the rate of chemical reaction. As the combustion itself is a chemical reaction, we have to increase the rate of this combustion reaction, this oxidation reaction, with the presence of catalyst. So there are some catalysts, only in the presence of catalyst the rate of reaction is going to increase. So within less time, with less energy, with presence of catalyst only, this combustion can be done in a faster way. So with the help of catalyst, we are going to incinerate all these air pollutants, and we have to check the stack or the flue gases again, because ultimately we have to check or compare the maximum permissible limits which is given by the State Pollution Control Board or the Central Pollution Control Board or some other local standards. So in case if all the previous devices are not feasible or not technically or economically feasible, then we have to select incineration as the final process to control the air pollution. Thank you.